It's in the latest, it's in the latest newsletter. Um, Everybody got it by email, and some of you will eventually get it by paper. The bird survey going on for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers at Atwood, Wills Creek, and Kokosing Lake. That's continuing through July. So we would really like some people to go out. You go out on your own time, whenever you can, whatever location you want. Just contact me because we do have a set amount of hours that we're birding. But we're doing this for United States Army Corps of Engineer down in the southern area of Ohio. But this is a collaboration with Birds Canada, which is the equivalent of National Audubon in Canada. We have the Ohio State University Tonra Lab. It's an aviation ecology lab. They're working with this project. The Muskingum Watershed, the Wilds, the Ohio Prairie Network, and the Bluebird Society. So we're all doing a collaboration together, and that is those three locations that I mentioned: Atwood, Wills Creek, and Kokosing. The Corps is going to be putting Motus towers there. So they would like some birding information, and we do need some people. I know it's kind of far to drive an hour and a half to Wills Creek or an hour and a half to Kokosing. But if we can get a few people out there, that would be great. Early migration starts in March. April, you're going to have a lot of migration going on. So anyhow, please go down. If you do go to one of these locations, again, email me where you went and the hours that you birded, because like I say, we need 38 hours of birding because we signed contract. So anyhow, I want to go over the bird survey again. And I also want to, I got that twice on here. I think I deleted something accidentally. Oh, darn. Anyhow, the the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is going to be having an event down at Wills Creek on May 7th, I think it is. And it's down around Coshocton, and they invited us to come because all these organizations are going to be there. And it's like 8 to 2:30, and it's an hour and a half drive for us to get there. Plus, you got to unpack your vehicle, set up the tables, and it's like you're gonna have to be out of the house by 5:45, 6 o'clock. Then another hour and a half drive home. I wouldn't mind going and staying overnight and go birding down there and then do the program the next day because I think it would be really fun. Scott and I were saying it's really, really hard. Oh, yeah. And yeah, it's going to be a rough day. So if anybody is maybe interested in doing that and maybe going overnight and hanging out down there, let me know. Go because you got Roscoe Village and okay, you got Roscoe Village and all those good places to hang out and eat down there as well. Um, Beach Creek, Bert, Jim Nero. I'm sorry, Bert is your wife.
Boy.
Yes, I'm sorry. And so Beach Creek is going to be having an event in August this year. And do you know what date yet? Is there a set date? Ronnie Macco emailed me about this.
Yeah. Saturday evening, August 8th.
Okay.
Mopping.
Okay.
And, then Sunday the 9th
Is the
all day.
whole all day event. Okay, so on August the 9th, on a Sunday, which is my birthday, August 9th, there will be a program at Beach Creek. Is it focusing on pollinators then too?
Yes.
Okay, and so Ronnie Macco will be there. She'll be doing a presentation on hummingbirds. And they did ask us to have a table there if anybody would go over, and our usual, with our information, passing out stuff and talking to people about birds. So we have that coming up. And if anybody's interested in attending Beach Creek as a volunteer, please let us know. Membership renewals, May 31st. We got 3 board positions. 1 is vacant, 2 people are exiting. So if anyone is interested in, picking up one of those positions, we'd really, really like that. I know a couple people have expressed interest, so please let me know. I want to say that Shreve Migration Sensation is March 14th. I have the information in our event page, and it has the website to go to. That website has everything you need. So you can check that out. Excuse me. And Climate Watch, I'll let you talk briefly about Climate Watch and upcoming programs. Tonight we have Little Brown Jobs with Matt, with little birds, brown birds that we all love. And we have in March, we have Byron. He's doing a program on birds of East Africa. April is Carrie Elvey, Conservation of the World's Birds. And Denise Ellsworth is doing Wild Bees in Your Backyard. We have our picnic June 7th, Wednesday. And I used to make sign up sheets all the time, and I finally made one up tonight. And I'll be passing that around. It's early to decide whether you're going on the picnic. So if you want to put it on, fill it out, you can. But in the newsletter, we have, other than the whole birding events, we have all the upcoming, talks and speaker events and our picnic information. So that's all in here. And the Shreve, all those kind of things going on at Houston Brumbaugh, which is important, the important information that you need to know. And that's in the newsletter. Everybody got it emailed to them. So and I just sent that out, I think, last night. So anyhow, we'll let Scott go ahead and talk, and I'm going to pass this around for anybody who's interested.
So real quick, the Climate Watch has ended. So it ended in February 15th. If you did a survey, make sure you get your results into the Climate Watch website. The upcoming bird walk is March 7th and is at Jackson Bog State Nature Preserve at 9 a.m. Beyond that, I just want to introduce Matt Valencic. Matt became a Geauga County Master Gardener volunteer with the purpose of finding out what critical habitats are good for birds and what kind of plants they need. His favorite pastime is photographing birds in Geauga County. And he's also a member of the Sanctuary Committee, where he leads the charge to remove not invasive or non-native plants in the sanctuaries. And tonight's program, as you see, is Little Brown Jobs, and he'll be discussing the differences about sparrows and finches in Northeast Ohio. And I welcome Matt.
Thanks.
No,
Okay.
they can hear you.
Okay. Everybody awake?
Yeah.
Hi. I usually try to be animated, and I don't have a problem projecting. So, yeah, I do the invasive things. We can't talk about birds without talking about habitat. And I'd like to say that that's the reason I went into the Master Gardener program, but I really did. I wanted to be a better vegetable gardener. And I found that I've lost my interest in vegetable gardening, and now I'm into native plants. And Denise can attest to how that's like. So the gardening was the entry-level drug. So like birding is the entry-level drug to becoming a nature nerd. And my friends and I, we call ourselves that, and we are proud of it. So let me get rid of this and so you can see my whole screen, all that other stuff up there. This program came about because someone sent a note to info@clevelandaudubon.org, our information hotline, and said, do you ever think about doing a program on sparrows? And I've got about 7 or 8 programs on different kinds of bird groups, and I didn't have one on sparrows. I'm not a sparrow expert, not by a long shot. But every program I ever put together, and if those of you who have done PowerPoint talks, you know that you learn a heck of a lot in the process. And you don't become expert, but you become more well-versed. And so I took on the challenge and I did that. And it's been pretty well received because nobody else is talking about sparrows. And so I'm going to see if my thing works here, if I don't have to, which way I have to go on this. This better work. We got to make it advance. Advance slides. When you buy a $10 advancer, you get $10 worth of advancing. So, and Scott, we're frozen here. I can't use my up and down buttons, and I can't. Well, we're trying to zoom this thing, and we found a technical problem he was having. Anybody know what presenter view is? Yeah, presenter view lets you see the next slide. And so it's a crutch, but it also it makes for better listening on your part because you see what's coming and you can transition a sentence into it before it shows up. And when we did that, you get to see everything that you don't need to see, which is like my notes and all that. Have you ever watched a program where you've seen the notes coming up for the next slide? It's really terrible.
Okay, so that's,
So this is called tap dancing while he's working here. Oh, there we go. Hey, thank you, Scott. One for Scott. Yay. Okay, so I never know who my audience is like. And a lot of you are birders. I've been talking to you already. So I tell them up front what I'm going to tell them. That's a speech. And tell them what you tell them to them, and tell them what you told them. So I hope I know what to do here. Okay, so you can read there. This is what we're going to be talking about here for the next little bit. I love eBird. I always have once I learned how to use it. And All About Birds is another one that I use. All About Birds is Cornell's website. Any bird you want to know more about that's in North America, you can put it in there and learn about it. And so I use this as one of the resources for this talk. One of the best things about it is that range map over there for the seasons. So if you're a newer birder and you see a bird that's unusual in the middle of the summer, and you look at the map and you see that they belong in Alaska, during the summer, you might want to look a little deeper into your field guide. But you can learn all kinds of good information. And when you do a talk like this, you got to have more than just identifying information. So I get all that background stuff from there. Then I go to eBird and I create a bar chart, which is simply all of the data that they have in their database for the counties. You can see the counties here. This is usually most of these talks are upper and northeast Ohio. All the counties that I have, and then I tell them I only want to look at the data for the last 10 years. And it gives you all the birds and all the checklists, and it creates these nice bars here that show you what's going on. And the most instructive thing about them is that they tell you quickly if you have a winter bird that's here from January through April and fading out in March, gone for the summer, shows up again next fall. Okay, that's a winter visitor here. This is a year-round bird, at least in parts of northeast Ohio. We have them nesting. I have them nesting in my barn in the hayloft. Okay, this is a summer-only bird, the Savannah sparrow. You see one or two of them in the winter, but basically that's where they're here. And the song sparrow is a solid year-round bird with a lot of volume, and it shows up on everything. So you learn where the birds are and at different times of the year. So this is a really valuable tool. We've got the field guides that you go to. The sounds that you're going to hear are right off of my Sibley app off of my smartphone. I'll accept the one that won't record because it's so high. And then you want to, when you're talking about these things, again, for newer birders, I tell them, you really have to get to know a little bit about the bird's topography, because we're going to say that it has a rusty colored crown. Well, need to know where the crown, you need to know where the nape of the neck is and the flanks below here. That's not the belly, that's the flank right underneath. The belly's down here and so on. So that's in the front of everybody's field guide. Since it's my talk, I get to arrange the birds the way I want, right? So this is how I arrange them. And we're going to start talking right out with the year-round birds, and then we'll move through the rest of them here. You had to sort them somehow or another. And I don't know anything about genus and species and genetics, so don't ask me any questions, please. We start with that wonderful year-round bird, the non-native invasive house sparrow. And while the male's not a bad-looking bird, the female and the young of the year definitely are LBJs, right? They're little brown jobs. And the best thing about them, there's no best thing about them. They're terrible. They really are, because they do a lot of terrible things. They reproduce like crazy, number one. They go into cavity nests and they kill the occupants, whether it's the babies or the adults. They pep the eggs and then they take over and they make the nastiest nest in the world. And if you run a bluebird trail, and we have two of them in two of our different sanctuaries, they're the bane of your existence, trying to get them in there. So, and the song is just so melodic. You can't wait to hear it. That's it. So we do a lot of birding in Amish country this time of year, and you leave your windows rolled down a little bit, and every Amish farm you drive by, that's all you hear. Okay. They've got 30, 40 of them in the barn. Sometimes they're out flying. So these are two challenging birds. Even when you think you get to know them a little bit, The house finch and the house finch is going to start here, and then we're going to go into the purple finch. But the house finch was a Western bird until the late 1800s. This is, again, information you got to get off the website. When somebody decided they're going to bring them back to New York and they're going to sell them as cage birds. And when that didn't go very well, they just let them go. And several decades later, they became a bird of the eastern United States. So that's how we got the house finch. And they're a little more aggressive than purple finches. Most notable thing about them, the female is the classic LBJ. She doesn't have any kind of defining facial patterns. She's all striped and blends in with the background of anything. And you'll see some habitat pictures here shortly. But look at the bill. The bill on the male and the female, it's convex. It's rounded. Okay. When we're going to see the purple finch, the top of it's going to be more flat. And the color we describe as red on the male. And it's red in spots, but it doesn't go throughout the rest of the plumage, like on the mantle of the bird, the back or through the wings. And you're going to see it very different on the purple finch, which we call what, raspberry? That's a term. We now have a nice facial pattern on the male that differentiates it. We lack the stripes on the body that were on the house finch, and the top of the bill is somewhat straight. Now, the bill is a tough thing to try to, get your ID from when these birds are moving around. But look at the plumage on the male. You see that raspberry blending into all sorts of other parts of the bird that are brown. And the female, thank you, God, has facial patterns. She's got an eyebrow and she's got a malar stripe and all that. So she's easier to pick out when you see her by herself or with a mixed flock of house finches. So here they are side by side. We're going to do the females like this too. So you get a look. Look at the bill. That's different. Look at the general color, raspberry versus red, and it blends through the plumage there. And now we're going to do the vocalizations, okay? So we're going to do first the house finch. I'm terrible on bird song. I really am. Okay, now it's going to get a little more musical or melodic. I don't have a music background, but listen to this. Very different, isn't it? Yeah. I didn't know all this stuff till I put this talk together. So anyway, the females, again, we talked about it. I don't have to go over all the details here, but you see that they're not so much vocalizing as it is just catching a glimpse of an LBJ. So I got pretty good at purple finches once I retired. Until then, I was always sending pictures to my friends. They go, no, that's a house finch. No, that's a house finch. So, but anyway, and we don't see as many purple finches in Geauga County where I do most of my birding. And I'll try not to say the name of my county too many times because that gets to be boring too. So goldfinch, oh, there's so much fun now over the next 2 months. If you're feeding, if you have a feeder and you have goldfinches and you watch the males start to get progressively more yellow. It's really cool. I don't feed birds past April because we have such a bad chipmunk problem. But when I did, I always enjoyed that. The characteristic here, yellow, black wings, white markings on them, and that pink bill. So that's going to stand out here. My dad called these wild canaries. But that's how I got to know them first. I was a hunter before I was a bird watcher. So we would see them in the fields as we're walking back to go into the squirrel woods or something like that. So here we are. Once they get out of the breeding season, the babies are all raised and all that. And mom and dad decide it's time to get some new clothes to go through the winter. And those new clothes are very drab. So we go into that nice buffy color. The males have a little more yellow on them than the females. And you're going to find them in the fields looking for seeds or at your feeder in there. And then we're going to listen a little bit with their vocalizations. Do you hear the white-breasted nuthatch in the background? That's a good party game for birders, by the way. Not that you have parties for birders, but is to play these things off of your app and try to get not the primary bird, but the birds in the background. So it's a lot of fun. It challenges you because it's not the context. You sort of get all messed up because you're looking at one picture and you're listening to something else. Anyway, when I see a goldfinch, when I hear a goldfinch, I think about their undulating flight, and it's potato chip, potato chip, potato chip, potato chip. And that is my mind's eye. That's my mnemonic and my visualization and all that. That's how I go with goldfinch. So the next one is our ubiquitous song sparrow. If new birders need to know the song sparrow well so that they can compare everything else against it. The further you go west, the more the plumage changes, but this is our classic eastern bird. And the thing that I don't know if you've noticed so far, if it's showed up much, lighting makes all the difference in what the bird looks like. So the bird on the right is a little more overcast. It's a little darker. The bird on the left has good sun, but not glaring sun on it. So the characteristics we're looking for here, the general facial pattern here, and the stripes that sort of coalesce to a central breast spot on them. And then the vocalizations for sure. And I always think about 3 notes in the front and then a song. And it's a terrible way because I know they sing a lot of other things too. But they're everywhere. This is how hard they are to spot sometimes if you're walking through a field. Okay. And then this is even harder to spot, but this is their habitat. They want the field set up, and there it is, tucked away. It's hard for another predator bird to kind of catch them when they live in that sort of a habitat. Swampies. I love swampies because wetlands are my favorite habitat, number one, because they're so diverse. And I think this is just a pretty bird. A little bit of lighting things here again. I look for this eyebrow that they call it olive colored. I don't know if that's true to olive or not, but I know what that looks like when I see it. And I look for the rusty wings on them and buffiness on the flanks. Not much striping in here. Main thing is habitat. You're going to find them abundant in wetlands. You will find them in upland or in other meadows as well, but not as many as you will find in a nice wetland setting. So there's a couple more pictures of them. Again, lighting on the right side is a little more subdued than good light on the left. And these guys, they're part of the trio that I love to hate, which is the swamp sparrow, the chipping sparrow, and the junco. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So this is wool grass. This is a classic habitat we have in a place called Throwing Meadows, where we see a lot of sparrows, but they go fast. And then they'll slow down. Same species. And if they catch you not paying attention, they could do that. So what's not to like? We all like a challenge, right? So get out your Merlin and then say a prayer that Merlin gets this one right. Does anybody else feel that Merlin's not quite at 100% yet? So I've got this on the probable list because we have a few of them that overwinter. One of the things I noticed, I looked at some of the checklists and I did a bar chart for your area. You have warmer winters than we do. I mean, it took me an hour and 10 minutes to drive down here, almost straight shot down 77. Your winters are much milder than Northeast Ohio where I live. And so you may have more towhees, but we only have a towhee here at here and there. They're in the thickets, the ones that hang out, and they just give that call. Dweep, or what we like to say is drink, because what's their song? What's the mnemonic for their song? Drink your tea, but it never gets past drink because it's so cold. They say, I'm not wasting energy giving you the rest of the song. So we'll talk about the towhee again when we get to summer birds. So winter birds, that's where we are now. And there's a lot of stuff. And you get to the bottom of the list, we go through the ones that are the eruptives. And we always hope for more than what we get, right? Every once in a while, we're surprised. But the dark-eyed junco in parts of Geauga Lake and Cuyahoga counties, there was a fellow named Hans Petrusek who was an avid birder. He's since passed away, but he was keeping track of all the places where he found juncos spending the summer. And most of them leave down here. You probably don't see them in the summer, do you? No, but we will where I live in Jaga. The characteristics, the gray bird with the white belly and the pink bill. And they've got crazy songs too. But there's my picture that proves that they're a summer bird. That was right in the heart near my area. And this is our barn. I have lots of pictures and other talks that I give. They come in, I leave the loft door open on the back of the barn about 6 or 8 inches starting in mid-April. And they fly in there, this couple, and they put a nest right between bales of hay, and they'll tuck it in there. And if you go up to get some hay once in a while, they'll fly out. But it's completely protected. And they'll have 3 clutches of babies every year up in that environment. No matter how hot it gets, it's still not bad because we have ventilation up there. And no matter how cold and how rainy it is, they're totally protected and no predators. But then there's this gosh awful song. So Chipper's going to come in here too. So, and my brain just can't, Swampy, Junko, Chipper. There's Chickadee Dee Dee in the background. So I wait until they do something like an interaction call, which I think is a lot more like that. I can deal with that. That's different. So when they're messing with each other or with another bird, that's kind of happens. American tree sparrow, we're getting ready to lose them pretty soon, right? About another month or 6 weeks, we should start seeing them heading back up north. That was our bird that we saw on the All About Birds thing, where they're heading up to the upper reaches of Canada, all the way up to breed up in Alaska. That bicolored bill is a giveaway. The central breast spot on an otherwise clear breast is a giveaway, and a little bit of barring on the wing with an eye ring. So they're in all kinds of habitats, dry habitats in the winter because they're dry because they're frozen. They like the wetlands a lot, in my experience, but we'll also find them in fields and edges around the place as well. This is our back to frowing meadows again. There's that wool grass. They really do blend in pretty well with that. And here they are with a little more, with some cattails in the background. They always seem to be around the edge there. And let's see if we've got some song here. They sing more on their breeding territories than they will down here. So you're going to get calls with American tree sparrow. If your experience is different, again, a lot of these, they go by, my friends will say, did you hear that? And I go, no, let's find it, whatever it is. Because I've lost that high pitch in my hearing. White-throated sparrows, we enjoy those all winter long throughout our areas. Do you get a lot of them down here too? Yeah, real easy. I don't have to describe for you how pretty they are. What I look for, you've got a tan morph here with the eyebrow is a more tan color, and that's varying degrees too, versus the pure white eyebrow here. But that yellow supraloral spot, the lores being the distance between the area between the eye and the bill, supra being above, so that's a supraloral spot up there. They're really very good. They're birds that I remember from breeding songs when I was in the Adirondacks during college. That's when I started birding up there. I saw my first Blackburnian warbler, and I got hooked, and then I got to hear these guys all summer long. They're pretty photogenic, so I didn't have to go to All About Birds for too many pictures. But let's listen here. Come on, let's sing. Let's not just make chipping sounds. That's the song that I cannot hear in the woods. This I can hear. Poor Sam Peabody is the mnemonic. As soon as I hear that, I'm transported back to Cranberry Lake Biological Station in the Adirondacks. I studied to be a wildlife biologist. I got a degree in forest biology and never used it professionally once. But I spent 20 years as a Boy Scout leader, so I got my fix on training kids with appreciation for things in nature. The white crowned sparrows, we get a few of them in the winter. What's your experience down here? Sometimes, yeah. We have one Amish farm where there's always 4 or 5 of them, and they hang out with the 50 or more house sparrows because the people feed right in front of their house, and we just drive down the road and we look right off the road into their front yard and we see them. So But that's mostly what we see. A more western bird, spending the winters out there. The young of the year look all like this. The males and females at maturity look like this. So pretty easy to identify that way. Starts out like it wants to be a white-throated, but then it stops. Oh, why did you just keep singing? So that's how I have to remember it. It starts out like it wants to be white-throated, but then it gets complicated. Pine siskins, I'm told, are finches. So at least that's what I've read. I never would have guessed on it, but here's lighting again. Lighting's all for the beauty of these things. This one looks like a gray bird with yellow wings. Okay, but when you get good light, they come out much better. Now, these are pictures from All About Birds. I don't have pictures that are that pretty about this bird. Needle-like bill, again, lots of striping through here and lots of yellow veining on the wing feathers and on tail feathers here. And when they open their wings up, you see a lot of yellow. So we had a location called Swine Creek Lodge and Feeders this year where we had 3 evening grosbeaks that were there for several weeks. You had to catch them first thing in the morning. They were characteristic early morning feeders. But then there was 25 or 30 pine siskins with them in the dead of winter. All this is thinning out right now. We're losing all these birds now as the weather's changing. But we got to see this. And there's another color morph, a green morph on the pine siskin that we didn't know about until someone posted it. And then you go back, if you look in your Sibley's guide, you'll see something about the green morph. But this is another one where you can learn this call or song, vocalizations, I tend to call them, pretty easily. We call that berzeep. We have a lot of black alders, which I'm told is not a native tree to Northeast Ohio, along the shores of Ladue Reservoir, which is our big lake up there. And these guys will hang out in there because the alder cones have seeds in them. And those little tiny bills can get up into those alder seeds and get them out. And whenever we get red poles, they like to hang on in the alders as well. Welcome to Geauga County in January. Okay, this is an actual picture I took. Every year, the Kirtland Bird Club asks me if I will guide them through the winter birding locations in Geauga, and we have a great time. And this is the habitat where you find snow buntings. Okay, they don't care. It's nasty. Anybody know nasty weather equals good birding? Some of the worst weather, whether it's raining or cold or blowing or whatever, you tend to get more birds. We got so many more birds this year, the most we've gotten in the last 4 years. And it was really great. The lousy weather contributes a lot to it. Snow buntings show up on the Bonnie shores of Lake Erie about October. And let me go back here again, and they start out pretty brown like this. And the interesting thing, which I found in researching these, is they don't molt to this white color. They rub off their feathers, and the edges of their feathers start eroding away, and this brown goes away, and the white and black starts showing up. Is that cool or what? These lovely soft brown colors on the face and around the head and neck and all that are characteristic of them. I have a lot of pictures of snow buntings because we have some fields where they either had a cornfield that's right up against the country road that we could look at them, or now they're planting sunflowers in those same fields. And you just sit in the car and do car birding. If you haven't done car birding, you're missing a whole winter phenomenon. It's wonderful. You bring your favorite hot beverage, not alcoholic, till later on in the day. But they'll graze on any leftover corn that's in the fields. But what you really, really want is a manure spread. Because when you get a manure spread, you get horned larks, you get the buntings, and you get the longspurs. And when the buntings fly, they remind me of baby snow geese, because snow geese have black wingtips. They're white and black, but that's where the analogy ends. But anyway, that helps me. But when they fly away, you can see all this black and white patterns all over the place. So you can get a relative idea, if you're a bird counter like I am, trying to give a roughly accurate estimate of how many there are in a flock. The Lapland longspurs are going to be in there as well. They're harder to find. We don't usually get large numbers of them. How about down here? Yeah. Yeah, we get them every year, one or two or three. You've got to hunt in the flock of buntings and larks to find them. These are March pictures. The plumage gets lovely. They'll hang around till March if you can find them in the fields. You can see the winter wheat here in the background where they're foraging around. But they they're see if I have there's a good manure spread. So you've got them mixed in here and here. They're hard to find until the flock picks up. All three of these bird species are really nervous Nellies. They're always, you get close to them and they fly up and they go away, and you wait 2 or 3 minutes and they finally come back if there's some good food pickings on there. So that's out of focus horned lark. You can see this nice little spot on the wing here, one of these coverts, and nice facial patterns on them. So they're pretty easy to spot. And there's no other sparrows to confuse them with that sit out there in the middle of a field on a manure spread. So you're not going to get confused, except once in a while we do get a savanna. When we talk about where's my next one? The crossbills. I like to show you the picture here. Go back here. This is their territory. They're year-round birds way up north. Okay, non-breeding areas like this. Ohio, no matter where you're talking about the red crossbill or the white wing, we're in a non-breeding scarce area, which is why we don't see them very often. These pictures are from Cornell's site. I have pictures of both of these. They're garbage compared to this beautiful stuff. So for educational purposes, that's what we're doing here. So the difference you're going to look for, males are both red, females are both that yellow-green. Both of them have dark wings. What you're looking for is dark wings only or dark wings with a white wing patch. And that's going to be the characteristic. Yes, the red is a little bit different, but when they're hanging upside down on the top of a Norway spruce, tearing the cone apart and all that, you're looking for wings with either white marking on them or not a white marking. The crossbills are similar on both of them. Let me see if I can go back again one more time so you get to see them here. We have found them in all kinds of pines and spruce trees, but they'll also go to sweet gums and try to get the seeds out of there. Those are nasty cones, sweet gum. Anybody ever have a sweet gum tree in your yard? You don't walk barefoot, do you, when the cones dry? We had them in Charlotte. Okay, so now that's winter's over, summer's here. We're going to exchange our American tree sparrow for a chipping sparrow, and we're going to get these other guys showing up in the fields, some of them which I covet that you have here and I don't have in Geauga. Chipping sparrow, all you need is a few trees and a lawn, and you're going to have chipping sparrows. As you can see from the map on the left, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. And they're pretty easy to spot too. That you can see the description. I don't have to say it out loud there. A nice white eyebrow, a good eye line, a good rusty cap, and a clear breast without any streaking on it there. They do get a little harder once the breeding season is over and they change, or the young of the year, they get a little harder, but they do have a pretty much of a bland beak, flesh-colored beak to look at here. And there we are. That's the other trill. Brrr. Maybe if I had a music background, I'd be able to differentiate these, but now they're going to do it different. And they keep doing this and they keep doing this. So I'm a hunter by nature, and so I like to try to find them and see them. They're messing with us. They're just messing with us. Nature is messing with us. So anyway, field sparrows. I have a friend who has this crazy little bird song that he does every once in a while. He has no idea he's doing a perfect imitation of a field sparrow. Favorite places to look for these? Under power lines. So you have field conditions with trees, shrubbery growing in it. That's the kind of territory that they like. Again, a subtle bird. I think the subtle colors, a nice eye ring with the subtle browns in there and a clear breast again. This is the kind of habitat where we'll find them. And listen for the bouncing ball in the vocalization. Just like a ball falling on a table. That's kind of cool. We babysit a couple of our grandkids a couple of days a week, and they found 2 weeks ago that it's fun to go into a second floor area where we have a little set of bars up there, and they took these hard plastic balls and they throw them over into the kitchen, and they make this god awful crack because they're hard plastic. And the 1.5-year-old just laughs and laughs until I start throwing them back up. And then they laugh and they run and they throw them, bang them down, and I hear the bang, 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 bang. I say, you guys are like field sparrows up there. So they haven't got a clue, but they will later on. Savannah sparrows, again, all across the U.S., they get progressively darker plumage when the further west you go. They're going to show up in the summertime as well. The nice yellow color into the face is what I'm looking for there, and a nice contrast on the crown in this area. We do get some in the winter, but for the most part, they're a summer bird. Hard for me to hear. This is a typical habitat. Hayfields are fine. Mixed forbs are fine. Forbs being perennial plants that are non-woody. And they too blend in so well with everything here. This is a picture from All About Birds. I should be so lucky to have a nice one, but with its mouth open, we'll listen to it. And sometimes it's hard for me to hear that if they're a little far away. Again, you've got a supraloral. It's not a spot. It's more of the part of the eyebrow is sort of yellow. It's not as dominant as the white-throated sparrow is in here. So there's a winter picture where one shows up at the same place where the snow buntings are, by the way. We don't see it every year, but every once in a while. Thou shalt not covet Stark County's Henslow's sparrows. So you have what is the name of that park again, sir? Fry Family Park. Oh my gosh. So I was looking at a lot of things related to the county here and your website this afternoon. And when I saw how many people posted Henslows there and have good pictures, I was really, really envious. I'm a reporter on this. I've only seen and photographed one Henslow sparrow in Geauga County ever. They want huge territories of grasslands. And there was a young lady who presented to Kirtland Bird Club a couple of years ago, and her research said they're looking for a field like 50 acres of open forbs and things, even though they're only going to occupy 1 acre of it for their own particular territory. But again, pictures from Cornell, they're just gorgeous. I think this is the one that I could not record. The pitch was too high for it. This is another picture from the Coliseum. Those of you who are sports people, remember when there was it a basketball venue? Yeah. So you've got them there at Cuyahoga National Park, Cuyahoga Valley National Park. And this picture came from there, and it was a Geauga County birder that posted it, and I copied and pasted it to here. I admit that I take these things. I used to only want to do my own pictures, then I realized I'm leaving something out if I don't go and grab a few extra pictures for you. So, oh, there it is. This is the one that's okay. Totally, I would walk right past it. And these little boogers want to be just like a bobolink. They want to be up against the ground, right? And they're searching around for their insect prey down at the ground level. The grasshopper, we do have a few grasshoppers there. I think you just have more grassland habitat down here. This is at a closed landfill, one of the Lake County landfills. It's right on the border with Geauga County. I wonder why they put their landfill right there at the far end of their county. But they capped it a number of years ago, which means they put a big rubber seal on it and put several layers of soil on top. And then they keep it in grasslands for 25 or 30 years until all the methane comes out and everything. But anyway, that's our go-to place for grasshopper sparrow. And it's sitting on top of one of those pressure relief valves or something like that. This is a Cornell picture here. I think this is the one that I could not record the sound. It was just too high. And then we've got the eastern towhee. That is a summer bird throughout most of our area. It's the one bird that my wife knows the song because we've got edge habitat all around our little 8-acre farm, and you hear them all summer long. So drinking their tea, female's a pretty bird. This is our biggest sparrow at about 8 inches. So, when you get up close and see the nice red eye and all that, the white spots on the tail feathers are on both male and the female, so that helps with identification. But you can see I have a whole folder called Birds with Their Food, because I'm doing different kinds of talks and I'll go to grab things. What's one of the favorite berries that the birds eat during the winter? Amen. Yes. So besides leaving the dead trees in your property, if they're not a threat to property or to people, you want to leave the poison ivy. And when it goes really far out horizontally and gets all kinds of berries on it, the birds love it all winter long. I have several species of birds feeding on poison ivy. I have pictures of that. So, but anyway, they like the thickets. That's where they go to the edge habitat here. There's female again with some stuff, and drink your tea. Okay, so that's our summer birds, and then our migrants that we don't see long enough. Everybody's looking. Do you have fox sparrows down here yet? Not yet. So we were, where were we? In Cuyahoga County by the municipal sewer place, near canal where the sewer sends its water, or sewer district processes water and sends it into the canal, the Ohio Erie Canal. There were 6 fox sparrows there 3 weeks ago, feeding amongst with all the other ones. Somebody comes down and throws handfuls of bird seed down, and all the birds came and we saw them. So we don't usually see them until about March or April. And then they're only a short time. Lighting is everything. They're usually like the bird on the right, but when the lighting is dim, they could be a little more obscure on the left here. This is a short cell phone video of watching them scratch, classic patterns. We got a white-throated sparrow, I believe, up here, and then we got a junco down here, and we got a mourning dove up here. This is Swine Creek Lodge and Feeders. That's what the hot spot is called, in the far eastern, southeastern part of Geauga County. So gorgeous bird. And this is a song that for some reason it melded with me as soon as I first heard it. It was unique enough. It wasn't singing a song. It was like trying to say something. If you go in the western states, they have the plumage gets so dark they call it a sooty variety. It's the same species, but as you know, you get plumage differences in different areas. And Vesper, 1 week in April, that's all we get to see in Geauga County. Do you have them down here any longer? Vesper sparrows? So they're obscure little guys. They like to be at the grass at the edge of the path. In one particular park, we see them all the time. They also like a good burn. That's where we spot them a lot. The subtle streaking on them with the white eye ring in there, isn't that easy to spot them? Why would you go searching for sparrows? I mean, you know, this is right there with juvenile gulls, right? Yeah, so there it is. Yeah. We had a burn at Throwing Meadows a few years ago, and everybody was on that burn. I got a panic call from a good friend who was a newer birder, and she said, "Have you seen what they did? They destroyed the meadow at Throwing Meadows." I go, "Oh no, you go back there in a few more weeks and see just how vigorous this is going to be." The birds were all over it. So here we are. A nice thing, when they fly away, they do have those white outer tail feathers, kind of like a junco do. Subtle striping and colors with an eye ring on them. And again, they're very short time. If you can hear them, if you're a really good by ear birder, that's a song that you can take to the bank. Okay, my favorite sparrow, really. I mean, I like the swampy for colors, but for some reason, I'm also attracted to the coloration of a Lincoln sparrow. Another migrant that we see during late April, early May. You'll see them up at McGee, up there when you're out looking for warblers and stuff too. And then we'll get them back again in September for a short period of time. I love the way this buffiness comes on the breast up here with the faint stripes that go up and down. Just a nice facial pattern, the mallard stripe through here. I think it's just a really pretty bird. Coloration can change when they're in the shadows. It's not quite as easy to spot them. And I don't think they sing much when we see them. I think more up on their territories. This is from Cornell. That's just a gorgeous picture. I mean, truly, somebody did it very well. But we're going to hear what this sounds like a little bit. What's the other birds in the background? Yeah. Boy, why looking forward to that. We have woods all around us, and that's my favorite summer sound, early in the morning and late in the afternoon. Okay, why don't we see more clay-colored and lacants and Nelson sparrows? And that's why, because they're a central U.S. bird and they migrate straight north and south. And so when we get any one of these three species over in our neck of the woods, it's special. And it's unpredictable for the most part, too. Clay colored, I think we see more of than the Nelsons or the lacants. This one was out in front of a building at Maumee Bay State Park one year when we were up there for the biggest week. And my friend Kelly found it, and she didn't whisper quietly enough. But one of those many guides that they hire heard it. He got on his walkie-talkie, and 10 minutes later, there was 20 or 30 people standing around looking for the clay-colored sparrow. So, but a subtle bird. What are we looking for here? We're looking for a lighter colored sparrow overall is pretty much what you're looking for here. And this is not my picture. Those first two were. So you can see the general lightness throughout here, nice facial pattern and a light colored bill and all that. And they're only around for a short time during migration, and they're few and far between. So lacants and Nelsons. I did a bar chart for Stark. You do not have lacants listed on the bar chart, which means nobody has reported an eBird checklist for lacants. Do any of you in here have a lacants for Stark County? Okay. I only have a couple of them for Geauga and Cuyahoga counties. But what we're going to look for is a little difference here. These are pumpkin colored birds. So these are my pictures here. We'll get some other ones, I think, later here. Looking at the nape of the neck, you see a nice pattern here where on the other one, we're going to see something different. And we're going to look, they both have a nice brown crown with a median stripe. This one's stripe is going to be white. And then this is another picture here. That pumpkin color just sort of jumps out at you here. But when you compare it to the Nelsons, okay, you've got a gray stripe down the middle on here, and you've got a gray collar where the other one had a nice pattern on the nape of its neck. Otherwise, they can get you pretty confused pretty quick. I don't know if you notice the habitat, they like marshy areas, wet areas, tangle areas. We had a Nelson's the last 2 years at a place called Troy Wetlands. 2 years ago when we first had it, it was very cooperative and people got a lot of pictures. This is the Menor Marsh. That's where these pictures were taken before they cleaned it all up. And here they are side by side. So you get an idea of what that crown looks like and the median stripe on them. And again, another view of them side by side. So we're done with that, and I just leave you with, if you're a newer birder, and I don't think we have any in this group here, get familiar with songs and calls. One of the things we say with warbler warm-up is when you're seeing the bird, you may only have it for a few seconds, so describe it out loud. So you see it, you hear yourself talking, and you talk it, using 3 senses right away. And then when the bird flies away in a few seconds, you've got that memory to go back and look into your field guide. Too often, and I was guilty of this in the early days too, right away I want to go and compare it with other things in the field guide. Check your field guide for habitat and range maps to make sure that to try to confirm it. If you're a picture taker, I'm a big fan of that. If you can get a $200 point and shoot camera, it's amazing some of the good pictures you can get if you just can go to a 20x magnification. But we have a friend who, no matter how good the camera is, he takes nothing but Bigfoot pictures. So, and then you can record vocalizations in Merlin if you get something that is unusual, and that vocalization can be analyzed by somebody else to see if in fact it's valid or not. Things to take when you go birding: your patience, your persistence, your sense of humor, your gratitude for being able to even be out there, respect for the animals as well as the land, And my daughter tells me, because you hear how I project, she said, Dad, use your inside voice. So that's what she tells her students. So my last parting thing is a commercial message for our website that we talk a lot about habitat and rightfully so, because without the habitat, we don't have the birds. And all the birds that are declining because we lose habitat. This is an initiative that was brought to us 3 years ago by a lady who is a Shaker Lakes Garden Club member and a Geauga County master gardener extraordinaire with a great experience in diagnostics, plant diagnostics, and a passion for sharing nature with the general community. What we do up there, we can't do it for you down here. You're just too far away. There's a lot of people who are sharing information about planting native, getting rid of invasives and all that. What our group does is they're master gardener volunteers, and they go upon invitation to people's yards, and they will spend about an hour to an hour and a half with the homeowner, point out any non-native invasives that are on the property. And yes, this does include English ivy, much to the chagrin of a lot of people. But they point out that these non-native invasives are competing for resources for your native plants that are the things that draw in the native insects and the native birds. And so you need to get rid of them before you try to achieve your goals of either a butterfly garden or attracting more birds, or just, I want flowers that are blooming all season long. And then they ask the homeowner, what do you want to do with your property? You know, again, back to do you want a rain garden, a butterfly garden? Do you like more trees and shrubs, yada, yada? And then they give them suggestions with using native plants to do that, because you all know who Doug Tallamy is probably, and who's brought to light in the last 10 years that if we don't continue to increase the amount of native plants in the ecosystems, our biodiversity is going to continue to go downhill. So this is our initiative to help increase biodiversity in the greater Cleveland area. That's our backyard. If you go to that website, you can take a picture of it there. There's a lot of resources there. And that's the commercial message I'm giving you. If you're looking for more resources, I know that you've got a lot of them that are out there now. These are well curated, very carefully curated. Jane wouldn't put anything on her website that's not. And there's other places that you can go to. So this is our deal for Northeast Ohio. And with that, I'm going to say thank you very much for having me. And if you, as I told Scott, if you have any questions, I'd be glad to make up an answer. So I like dealing with birders too. Did I make any mistakes? Oh, thank you.
But what is it? One of the things is, you said the Calico's nest in northeastern Ohio. What's the farthest south that they nest in? Here?
I live in the Chagrin Falls area, and so I know they're that far down in Geauga County. I'm not far from the south end of Geauga County, probably about 5 miles from the south end of Geauga County. Yeah, yeah, in the summertime, yeah.
Prairie.
It's a wet field is what it is. If you've ever walked into it, it's a wet field. I don't know how many acres. It's been years since I've been there. Yeah, I haven't been there in 10 years, but it is a grassland, and that's the beauty of it. So, yeah. And again, we just lack that in our county. We have agricultural fields. The Amish, God bless them, they leave their fields with vegetation on them through the summer, which is why we have a lot of raptors in the wintertime. We get rough-legged hawks, and we've got all the usual red shoulder, red tail. We've got a slew of American kestrels, our smallest falcon up there. We get northern harriers, so and sharp-shinned and Cooper's hawks, because we have enough young small mammals running around in the areas, both in the woods and in the fields, that they attract these. That's our primary interest in the winter, is chasing raptors. This is in Geauga County in Middlefield. The Coliseum is in the south end of Cuyahoga County, I believe. So, yeah, but it's in the Cuyahoga National Park. along Route 303? Okay, thank you. Yeah, way up there, so. Anyway, thank you all very much. Have a great birding. It's getting ready for migration. Yes, today was my first red-winged blackbird. That's my harbinger of spring. So, oh, do you have anybody here? We have two lovely people in Geauga County that are new birders, and they're posting their Merlin checklists. Drive me nuts. They're everything that nobody else is seeing. All the experienced birders are out.